Did you know that there is a verse in the Quran that points to teleportation? Maybe you've read that verse too, but skipped it without even realizing. The Quran is a book full of miracles. Even after 1400 years, its secrets are still being uncovered. And today, we're going to talk about some of the most interesting ones. There are verses in the Quran that describe not only our present, but also technologies we haven't even imagined yet. Teleportation, time travel, even the ability to understand the language of animals. It might sound like a made-up story, but some of these things have already been tested in real scientific experiments. And there's an even older experiment said to have taken place many years ago with very scary results. In this video, we'll explore these miracles in the Quran, the technology of the future, and the science behind the claims. Once again, we bring you a shocking story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, so don't miss our next videos. It is known that the Quran contains many scientific signs, not just one or two, but many. And there are miracles that a human could never know by themselves. Let's talk about a few of them. In Surat Al-Dariyat, Ayah 47, it says the universe is expanding. In Surat Al-Hadid, Ayah 25, it says that iron was sent down from the sky. In Surat Al-Zumar, Ayah 6, it talks about how a baby grows in the womb in 3 layers of darkness. In Surat Al-Nur, Ayah 40, it tells about the darkness in the deep sea. In Surat Al-Anbiya, Ayah 30, it says the universe had a beginning, like the Big Bang. In Surat Al-Naba, Ayah 12, it mentions the layers of the atmosphere. In Surat Al-An'am, Ayah 125, it talks about how air pressure changes with altitude. In Surat Al-Mu'minun, Ayah 14, it explains the stages of the embryo. In Surat Al-Nahl, Ayah 68, it says the honeybee is female. In Surat Al-Ra'd, Ayah 3, it says that plants have male and female types. In Surat Al-A'raf, Ayah 57, it talks about the weight of clouds. In Surat Al-Qiyamah, Ayah 4, it says that every human has a unique fingerprint. In Surat Al-Tariq, Ayah 11, it tells that the sky reflects. In Surat Al-Hijr, Ayah 22, it speaks about winds that help with pollination. These are just a few of the hundreds of scientific signs that have been discovered, and all of them were found to be true. But now comes the big question. What if there are even more hidden inside the ayat of the Quran? What if we can also find clues about future technology in it? Now we will look at those ayat and the topic of teleportation in the Quran, because Allah says, everything dry and wet is written in the clear book. So according to this ayah, everything is found in the Quran. Not with every name or full detail, but with signs, summaries, and the core truth. Some of these miracles are hidden in the stories of the prophets and the miracles given to them. Allah told us about some of these future inventions through the prophets. He helped people imagine the final point of technology and gave signs that similar inventions could appear in the future. So maybe the miracles we are searching for are already hidden in the stories of the prophets. Teleportation is also explained in the Quran. In fact, this event happened. One person made it happen, and the Quran tells us about it in detail. We are going to talk about the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam and how the throne of Bilqis was brought to him in less than the blink of an eye. This event is mentioned in Surat Al-Naml, verses 38 to 40. Sulaiman said, "O chiefs, which one of you can bring me her Bilqis's throne before they come to me in submission?" A strong jinn Ifrit from among the jinn said, "I will bring it to you before you stand up. I have the power, and I am trustworthy." Then someone who had knowledge of the book said, "I will bring it to you before your eye blinks." And when Suleiman saw the throne placed in front of him, he said, "This is from the grace of my Lord." The throne of Bilqas was instantly brought from Saba, in Yemen, to Jerusalem. There are thousands of kilometers between the two places. This cannot happen by normal ways. The phrase, "before your eye blinks," shows a very short time, almost instant. This makes us think about a form of teleportation. And remember, what was moved is not just information, it was a physical throne. Imagine a large throne suddenly appears next to Suleiman alayhi salam. The queen's throne was in Yemen, but it appeared in Sham, Damascus, or Jerusalem, just like that, either physically or as a clear image. Even the people around the throne were seen and heard. Their voices were also heard. This story gives us very important signs. More than 1400 years ago, the Quran told us that matter can be moved instantly across long distances. And today, we do this in another way, with TV, cameras, and live broadcasts. A live image from far away can appear right in front of us. So, how could the Quran mention such a thing 1400 years ago when people could not even imagine it? This shows very clearly that the Quran is not the word of a human. Maybe one of the signs in this verse is the future discovery of teleportation. Why not? The verse seems similar to both television, cameras, and also teleportation. And today, scientists are already working on this. For example, in 1997, scientists managed to teleport a photon for the first time. We still don't have the technology to teleport real physical objects. Only information can be transferred so far. But maybe the miracle of Suleiman alayhi salam and the throne shows us a sign that matter teleportation could be possible one day. Now let's ask, is teleportation really scientific? What does modern science say about it today? Let's even look at some experiments. There is one experiment in particular that had such terrifying results that it was covered up. But many books were written about it, and even films were made. We'll mention those claims briefly too. Teleportation may sound like something from a science fiction movie, but in fact, it has a real scientific meaning, and many experiments have already been done on it. Some even claimed that a person or object could be moved instantly from one place to another. But officially, only photons have been teleported so far. From the early experiments until today, science continues to explore the possibilities of teleportation. The closest thing in the scientific world to this idea is called quantum teleportation. In 1993, physicist Charles Bennett and his team presented the theory of quantum teleportation. In 1997, a team led by Anton Zeilinger successfully transferred the quantum state of one photon to another. Since then, different experiments have been done. Scientists managed to teleport electrons, atoms, and even qubits, quantum bits. In 2017, Chinese scientists transferred the quantum information of a photon to a satellite 1,400 kilometers away. This became the longest distance quantum teleportation experiment in history. As of today, teleporting a human being is still extremely difficult. But right at this point comes a mysterious and frightening claim about a secret human experiment. In 1943, something called the Philadelphia experiment was said to have been carried out by the US Navy. This was the first time teleportation caught the attention of the public on a large scale. And here's the strange part. It supposedly happened even before the scientific research we talked about. It was the time of World War II, one of the most intense times in history. Countries were racing not only in battle, but also in technology. They were doing anything to win, even pushing the limits of science to gain secret and powerful weapons. And of course, Among these secret studies were some very wild and risky ideas. One of them was to make warships invisible, especially to enemy submarines and radar systems. Yes, making a ship invisible. Camouflage has always been a big part of military strategy. And even today, we use radar invisible technologies for planes and ships. In October 1943, at the naval base in Philadelphia, a ship called the USS Eldridge was chosen for a teleportation experiment. Massive generators were placed on the ship based on Albert Einstein's unified field theory. The goal was to create a powerful electromagnetic field around the ship to bend light and make the ship invisible to both the human eye and radar. Similar tests had already been done that summer. But when the button was pressed in October, something unexpected happened. The generators activated with a loud noise, and suddenly, a thick green fog surrounded the ship. When the fog disappeared, the ship was gone. The USS Eldridge had vanished. It had become invisible. But that's not even the most shocking part. In Norfolk, Virginia, 350 kilometers away from Philadelphia, people on another ship saw something they could not believe. The USS Eldridge appeared right in front of their eyes and then disappeared again. But what's even more shocking is this. The people who saw the ship in Norfolk said the time was 10 minutes before the ship had disappeared from Philadelphia. Yes, while trying to make a ship invisible, they may have accidentally discovered both teleportation and time travel. The ship first vanished from Philadelphia, appeared in Norfolk, and then reappeared in Philadelphia 10 minutes later. But the event ended in a tragedy. Some of the crew were found merged into the ship's walls, some were left in deep psychological trauma, and some completely disappeared. After the event, those who witnessed it were forced into brainwashing programs and other methods to make them forget. The experiment was shut down, but years later, the story returned in books and films. We won't go deeper into it in this video, but if you ask for it in the comments and this video gets 10,000 likes, we can make another video about this and other secret projects, like the Montauk Project, and an experiment about teleportation into the year 2137. Those times were completely different from today. During World War II and the Cold War, it was all about survival. Nations were in a race that was so intense and desperate that many secret and unethical experiments were done. During that time, electromagnetism and radar technology were developing. People were both curious and suspicious about hidden government experiments. Now let's return to our main topic. What other signs of advanced technology are mentioned in the Quran? The miracle of travel with the wind. The story of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Let's look at another interesting miracle. Sulaiman alayhi salam was given the ability to control the wind. This allowed him to travel very long distances very quickly. In Surat Saba, Ayah 12, Allah says, "And we subjected to Sulaiman the wind. Its morning journey was a month, and its evening journey was a month." This means that a 1-month journey could be done in just a few hours. Isn't that a clear sign for the future invention of airplanes? Today, we also calculate how to use the wind with the right technology. We design special materials and create aircraft. And just like the verse said, long journeys can be done in very short times. Today, we can visit several countries in one day. Distances that used to take a month can now be done in a few hours. Sulaiman alayhi salam and his ability to speak with animals. In the Quran, the Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam is described as someone who could understand and speak the language of animals. In Surat Al-Naml, Ayah 18 mentions his understanding of ants, and Ayah 22 talks about his communication with birds. But what kind of sign could this be? Actually, the ability to understand animal language could mean that, in the future, humans might learn how to understand animals' abilities and behaviors more clearly. Sulaiman alayhi salam didn't just know their language, he used their talents for tasks and duties. This miracle gives humans a big goal. If we truly understand animals and their special skills, we can work with them in many parts of life. For example, birds were once used to carry letters across long distances. Parrots can be trained to speak. Silkworms create silk, which we use to make clothes. We understand dogs' strong sense of smell and use them in narcotics detection. Dolphins have powerful sonar abilities and are used in underwater search missions and to find sea mines. Some rats are used to find landmines because of their sensitive noses. Bats use sound waves to move in darkness, and that can inspire new tools for people who are visually impaired, helping them to sense directions using sound. So, the miracle of Sulaiman alayhi salam, understanding animals, shows that one day we might discover even more amazing things about animals and use them in more fields. Just imagine, there are thousands of animal species on Earth. If we understand their communication and train them, the possibilities might go far beyond what we can even imagine today. Musa alayhi salam and the miracle of the 12 springs. Another prophet's miracle is mentioned in Surat al-Baqarah, ayah 60. The prophet Musa alayhi salam hit a rock with his staff, and 12 springs of water gushed out from it. Imagine a dry land, a hard rock, and when the staff touches it, fresh water bursts out. 12 different springs appear, and people who were extremely thirsty drink as much as they need. So, what other signs could be hidden here? What message could this miracle give us? Actually, this miracle gives a clue that it may be possible to reach underground water by striking or accessing the right point. When we look at the history of modern drilling technology, it began around the 19th century. After that, people started using drilling machines to reach underground water and oil sources. So, when Musa alayhi salam struck the rock and water came out, it may have inspired people to dream of future technology, tools that could find and bring out water from under the ground. This could be an early hint at drilling machines, given centuries before they were invented. Isa alayhi salam and the miracle of raising the dead. Another shocking miracle is about Isa alayhi salam. In Surat al-Imran, ayah 49, it says, "By the permission of Allah, I heal those born blind, the lepers, and I bring the dead to life." So here we have an amazing miracle, raising the dead. What kind of sign could this be? The miracles of Isa alayhi salam truly surprised people. According to narrations, he raised the dead 4 times. One of them was the son of Nuh alayhi salam, who had died 4,000 years earlier. Before each miracle, Isa alayhi salam made dua to Allah and the dead person came back to life. The person would testify that Isa was a true prophet and tell others to believe in him. People were shocked. But what message could be hidden in this? Of course, raising the dead is something that humans can never fully achieve. But maybe this ayah gives a sign that science might one day approach this limit. As Bediüzzaman said, even death can be given a temporary color of life. What does that mean? Think about today. Organ transplants, genetic engineering, stem cell research. These are ways people try to bring life back into sick or damaged bodies. Among the miracles of Isa alayhi salam were also healing those born blind and healing people with leprosy. These miracles also point to future discoveries. For example, today we use gene therapy, retina implants, stem cell treatment, and bionic eyes to help people who are born blind. Some types of blindness can now be treated. So these miracles of Isa alayhi salam give us a message. Every disease has a cure if you search for it. Also, with the rise of artificial intelligence, we can now create digital versions of people who have died. Maybe this is one way to give a temporary color of life to the dead. Ibrahim alayhi salam and the fire that did not burn him. The cruel king Nimrud was angry at Ibrahim alayhi salam and ordered a huge fire to be made. When Ibrahim was thrown into this giant fire, something incredible happened. The fire did not burn him. Not even his clothes were harmed. This was a special miracle just for Ibrahim alayhi salam, but it also carries signs for the future. If even his clothes didn't burn, maybe it was a message that one day humans would discover fire-resistant materials. And that's what happened. In the 20th century, scientists created the first heat-resistant suits for firefighters. So the miracle of Ibrahim alayhi salam not burning in the fire can also be seen as a sign for future technological protection against fire. Sulaiman alayhi salam and the jinn who built giant structures. Now let's talk about the final sign. One of the amazing miracles of Sulaiman alayhi salam is that he had control over jinn, devils, and evil spirits. He used them for good, to complete difficult tasks, including bringing treasures from the sea and building great structures. Bediüzzaman said that there are many signs in these verses. He explained that jinn can be brought under control, and even unwillingly, they may become servants to humans. Of course, this is still a mysterious topic today, but even though it remains a mystery now, one day it could become a scientific reality. Maybe in the future, people will fully understand how to communicate with and use jinn for helpful tasks. Now let's answer a common question. Why are these things not clearly mentioned in the Quran? The answer is simple. The main goal of the Quran is not to explain technology or science. It is not a book of science or inventions. The Quran's main message is to show people the names and qualities of Allah, give signs of His existence, and guide people to faith and worship. That is its real purpose. However, because science and technology are also blessings from Allah and because they are part of our lives, the Quran did not stay silent about them either. But how did it speak about them? In the wisest way, through signs, not direct details. The clear topics in the Quran are about the oneness of Allah and the truth of His message. The scientific and technological hints are given as signs, so people who reflect can understand them. Think about it. If the Quran talked about airplanes clearly, wouldn't that be too small next to the greatness of the stars and planets, which already fly through space like huge aircraft? If it spoke directly about light bulbs, wouldn't that be less impressive than the lightning and meteors it already describes with power? So the Quran doesn't mention human inventions openly because it already talks about the highest level of creations in the universe. Compared to that, human-made things are small. Also, if the Quran gave clear details about every discovery, it would break the test of faith. Faith must include free will, and clear proofs would remove that. So what's the main message behind all these miracles and signs? That the Quran cannot be the words of a human being. These signs, spread over 1400 years, show us that no man can speak to all nations and all times with such deep and accurate knowledge. Only the one who created the entire universe, who exists beyond time, could speak like this. That is why the Quran must be the word of Allah. And maybe what we have discovered so far is just a small part of the miracles in the Quran. As science moves forward, we will continue to find new signs we never noticed before. Some people will increase in faith, while others will continue to deny, finding excuses. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We have over 200 Islamic videos and many more are coming soon. Don't miss them. Feel free to write your video suggestions in the comments. We may choose your idea for our next video. See you in the next episode. May Allah protect you and your loved ones and always be with you.